everyone, and welcome to today's Free Training Thursday. I have with me here today Abacus Law trainer Ben Fu, and he'll be taking us through advanced calendaring. As a reminder, if you have any questions, you can type them into the box on the side, and we will get to them at the end if we have time. Without further ado, I will turn it over to Ben Fu.
Thank you, Amanda. Welcome everyone to another edition of Free Training Thursday. Today we'll be covering advanced calendaring. I hope everyone had a great, long, and fun Memorial weekend. Okay, with that said, let's get started. So, since today's subject is all about the calendaring, I'm going to cover some basics calendaring and then a little bit more of the advanced section. And obviously, all has to do with the daily organizer. To open up the daily organizer, as you might already know, it's just a matter of clicking on the calendar that you can see here at the top, and we have different viewing panes that we normally go over, right? The appointments, your reminders, things to do, calls to make, as well as the calendaring section here on the side. Just so you know, all of these this is all adjustable, and you can, as far as what you would like to prefer to see, you can always change the display on what you're showcasing. Okay, and all of those advanced settings or simple or what I like to call basic settings are going to be under the gear here in the settings on the icons on the right at the top. And once you click on that, you can then see what is my calendar for setup as of right now. Okay. As of right now, my who codes are seeing, or I'm actually displaying to see the calendars or the daily organizers of my fellow colleagues here that I've entered at the top. Okay. And as far as the what that gets set up primarily, for every time I am setting up by default an event, the one that's going to come up is going to be an appointment. Here you can choose to preset which one you want it to be, the one that you're going to be using the most. So that is adjustable, of course, in the default settings. And then, of course, the time as well that you're seeing being displayed in your appointment section. So the day start at the time, if your calendar starts at 7 in the morning versus ending at 7 p.m., those numbers obviously can be adjusted, as well as your increments of minutes. Clearly, most of my meetings, for example, are defaulted to 30 minutes. If you wanted to change that to an hour, you can by simply just, going all the way up to 60 minutes. And when you do that and you click done, notice how then your schedule here then is being showcased or illustrated on an hourly basis. So these are the kind of settings that you can always play around with, which I like to call play around with, and set it up to your standards or to what you think is going to be most useful for your office. Okay, so I like to set mine back at 30 minutes, and that's just the beginning of the default settings. Also within here, you can then see the used colors, the used coded colors in your day, your week, and your monthly schedule. So you have your daily view, your weekly, and your monthly. That's why these boxes are checked. So at any given time, if I click on done and I want to see my weekly view, you can then see all the ones that I have for the week, and then of course the month. You can then see also that being illustrated in this case. Okay, if you don't use a color coded and you want to change that, you don't want to see it on your monthly calendar, then you would uncheck these boxes. Same thing with the weekly and same for the daily. I, of course, when I'm using my coded colored settings, I want to be able to see it on all that's being displayed on my day, on my week, and on my month. Okay, same concept goes for the show the date navigator in. Okay, this is the date navigator. Obviously, I'm seeing it when I am viewing my day, my daily organizer, my daily view, and my weekly view, not so much my monthly view. So that's the setup that I have. You can configure this as you choose to, as well, of course, the show task reminder and browsers. And what that's referring to is this browse here. Okay, again, I have it in my week, I have it in my day, and probably in my week as well, but not in my monthly view because it's too much, it's too cluttered for my taste. Okay, so with that said, that is just the simplest of the settings when it comes to your basics. Now, of course, as you may or may not know, you can see your colleagues or your fellow co-workers calendars at any given point by just choosing as many of these initials within your staff members. So if I just want to see my calendar per se, then I'm just looking at my calendar and I'm looking at my specific events that I already have highlighted. And I've color coded this so that when I'm looking at it, I'm looking at my settings, I can easily distinguish one what code from another one. This is a mail versus an appointment, and there's obviously as many as you can set up that you would like. By the same token, if I wanted to see it by responsibility of who is handling some, I can always highlight multiple of my colleagues, right? And since you see that I have color coordinated most of these already, and I hit done, then I can see that even though I've highlighted the ones that I wanted, I am not necessarily seeing the color codes by my coworkers. Okay, so if I wanted to preset it up under advanced settings, again, I would go to the wheel. I would then go to advanced and go to the last one, which is called the miscellaneous. So my event colors right now, the data colors is by field. So the setup that I previously had is identifying the color coordination by the what code. Okay, if I wanted to change that by the who code, I would simply just go by data colors, by field, change it to who. When I click on done now and click on done, now you'll see that these are being color coded by the individuals now. Okay, if I go into any given one of my who codes here, you can then see that myself, I am yellow, okay? And I can then see all the other color coordinations that I have for, Emmanuel Lau, for whoever is orange, which is Daniel Walburn, and then of course, my Chris Park was already my blue. So is depending on the setting, you can go ahead at any given time, assign all the colors that you like here, right, to any given one of your colleagues. So if you pick one, it's just simply just highlighting the name, go into your color, changing it, let's say, I don't know, to brown in this instance. Now I can hit done. But if I don't have anything in my calendar here for, Oliver Antoine, then of course that won't be reflected. Now, if I go back into my advanced settings and I completely change my miscellaneous, instead of my data colors being by who, and I change it to my what, then clearly, again, that's just a setup for my what events, not necessarily my what codes as opposed to my who codes. So that is a very big distinction when it comes to, displaying or color coding things either by the what code versus the who code. Okay, so that is a major factor when it comes to firms of running their offices. Sometimes they do it by who, by individual, others by what type of event it is. So now you know where you need to go in order to make that distinction, right? Just go to advanced, go to miscellaneous, and under the event colors, then you can see the data colors and you can change it. There's other options as well, not only just the what, the who, there's also the where if you wanted to. Those are the options that you have when it comes to the viewing what's being displayed in the color combinations. Okay. Along with that, you do also have the option of going into your settings here in the gear and go into advanced. And you can also see here at the top where it says appointments and reminders, tasks and calls, and there's queries, printouts. We'll go over some of these as well. First one, as you can see, is appointments and reminders, the expression. Basically, what it's referring to is what is it that I want to display on my calendar whenever I am recording an appointment. So it's simply saying that you want to see the what, in other words, the what code. You want to see obviously the name and the matter that it's referring to, and then of course the note, and that's what it'll start displaying. For example, if I go back into, let's say, my April 26th date here, you can then see one more person here, let's say, there it is. You can see that because I have that set up already as far as providing the what code first, the information, then it's the name of the matter, and then of course the name of the notes. So that's how it's being displayed. If you ever wanted to change what's being displayed, now you know where to go to and make those changes as far as the default expression that comes through. Okay, so the same thing for reminders. When we're talking about reminders, okay, as of right now, we're looking at the reminder box here at the top. Okay, I'm going to show you some examples, and pretty much it's already querying it as it says here. You don't want to put the no calls in this section. In other words, no event with the what equals the phone. In other words, all the phone calls, anything that you set up as a phone calls to make should go on the calls to make area. Okay, so if I go back into my section here, you'll notice that there won't be any phone calls to make sections on the reminders or in the things to do. They're going to go straight to the calls to make. If I show you more specifically, I go to my advanced settings and I go to my task and calls. That's exactly how I have it set up. I have my query to just equal my phone calls. In other words, my section that you have calls to make to be whenever my what equals the phone, it knows to specifically uh, place it under my phone calls to make, not necessarily in my things to do either, right? Because your things to do are separate from obviously your phone calls. So understanding that, and by the way, if you're being a little bit perplexed on what I'm referring to exactly, if I go add to a new event, and I go to my what, in my what section, there is an option as a phone conversation. So you see this one called phone. These are when I make my phone, my what equals the phone, that'll know automatically to insert it in the section of calls to make. Okay. If I didn't start off with an appointment section here of that, and I simply just wanted to add a phone call, I could have just clicked on the plus sign, and you can see automatically how my what is already a phone. So that's why it's already querying anything that is phone related, whether you start off with a calls to make or you set up the what as a phone, it'll send all the calls to make to this portion of the reminders, things to do in calls to make section. Okay. Let's see. The other aspect that I wanted to cover within this is with regards to your printouts. Okay. If you ever felt like printing out any information that you have within your daily organizer, within your calendars, there are many options here as far as to, the different types of reports that you can print out. Okay. One that is very commonly used and referred to by many is your to-do reports. Sometimes they just want to print out a list of your to-dos. Okay. So by default, I am using my short format calendar as the report type that I want to use. It's a column report, and it's simply in the description just going to give me certain information just to preview it so you have an idea. And by the way, when you come in here, feel free to change these things around. In other words, use specific one of these reports to see which one you like best and maybe create your own report and edit your own report. So let's say I choose short format calendar. Okay, so column type of calendar. When I click on done, and then I click on done again, I can then go straight into my printer icon and hit print calendars. When I'm here, I'm going to have different options of, again, different types of reports or printouts that I can have. So I was referring to the to-do list one that I just looked into. I can preset those obviously under the gear as I showed you, but now I want to show you how that one looked specifically. So if I go into a to-do list, again, the report is a short format calendar. The query is that I don't want anything that is a reminder, right? It's just a to-do list. Just strictly no reminders, just things to do. And I'm simply going to say, well, I wanted the to-do list for all these individuals, right? All of these that I had already clicked off that I want the report to be done for. I'm going to do an output to screen, and I can even choose, right, the particular date range that I want. So once I click on print, you can see here, pretty straightforward. It's a column type of printout, and it then gives you the breakdown. Okay, what if you then go, okay, well, this seems okay, but what if I wanted to include maybe the name of the matter? Okay, and that name of the matter is not within this particular columns report. At the end of the day, you do also have the ability, I mean, that would be, of course, a training in itself. You do have the ability to format these reports, add columns to them, and just have a more the ability to make those adjustments that you would use on any given basis. Okay, so let me just show you really quick. If I were to then say, all right, if I wanted to do that to-do list, and now this time I wanted to include a column that said the name of the matter, I can simply go back to my gear. Okay, go to advanced, go to your printouts, go to that to-do report, and now what you're basically choosing is make sure that you take a report that's going to have the same features of a short format calendar, but that you've adjusted to include a matter name. Okay, obviously I created this myself, where that was the only thing that it was missing for me. Okay, any one of these reports can be cloned at any given time, and you can add columns to them. Okay, if you haven't sat down in any one of these trainings where you're formatting your reports, know that that is a possibility. Okay, I'm going to show you the end result of what it would be to just add a new format calendar that you would like to add. I call it short test. I've added this before, and I included my matters name. Okay, so now I would choose this one as my default setting for my to-do reports. I could have done the same thing for maybe my daily reports, right? Whatever other types of reports that you have when you're trying to output anything. So in my settings, I would do that. I would provide that, and then I go back into my printer option, to my print calendars, and then I can go to my to-do list. Now this time you will see that now is the short test is the one I'm using to print out my reports, right? For anything output from the calendar. That's the one I want to use. Obviously, again, we're going to keep with the same theme and just want to show you the end result, how it would look like if I had created and entered in that matter names column in there. Okay. The simpler, the better at the end of the day for most of our clients. However, you can get very specific as to exactly what you would need. And, it's just a matter of just trying it out, playing with what I like to call playing with the settings that you have here, and understand that when you're doing these printouts, you can also do them, and there's different types that can be done or elaborated from these daily organizers. Okay. That's pretty much what I had for you guys today. Obviously, I'm opening to some questions right now. So if you can start typing those in. And I have, the first question is coming up here by Sage. Something I always like to do is to place linked events, such as deadlines to respond, as an event rather than as only a reminder. Is there an easier way to automatically make linked events appear as a to-do on a calendar? Yes, that has to be through a rule. I don't know if you've gone through any rules-based calendar training, and that would entail understanding how to put together and how to build a rules. That obviously in itself, what we do offer one-on-one sessions from the very beginning on how to create these rules, how to clone these rules, and how to modify them. So it would be understanding the rules-based calendarings, and any linked events and all that information can be provided. But I'm afraid that we don't have enough time to cover that. When the next question is by Casey, when editing settings on the calendar, does it affect all of the WHO codes you have selected or just your own? So if you select the WHO codes that you want, it's going to affect the settings that you are viewing for everyone that's within the Abacus, not just your own. So your color coordination affects, it's a color combination for everyone. The next question is there a way to view the calendar by month view and not see the to-do or the reminders? Yes. If you go back into your settings here, and I simply want to just view, as it says here, you guys want to view, hold on here, let me see. You can just view the monthly view, right? So you would set up on here the task and not see I have it set up so where I'm not seeing the reminders, right, on the month section, or the navigator when I see my monthly view. So if I go back to my monthly view, all you see are just the appointments and the events, no reminders and no to-dos. Okay, next question. Is there a way to delete all recurring instances of an appointment at once instead of having to delete each one? That command would have to be, that's a question actually that can be done on a mass scale, but it would have to be done by us. So you can call the CSE number that we provide, AbacusLaw support, 1-800-488-3334, and ask them to do a mass editing on your behalf to delete all those recurring instances. Any other questions? Let's see. Okay. We'll wait a few more minutes here to see if you can generate more questions. Can you have reminders, things to do, calls to make appear on the days, weeks other than the appointment day? Yes, as I mentioned before, as long as you have the view of your daily, your reminders, things to do, and your calls to make, those can obviously appear here on your right-hand side. If you have your weekly view, you can also see all the weekly reminders, things to do, and calls to make as well. That has to do with the setting that you have pre-conscribed when it comes to your show the task and reminders browsers. When I have click day, week, those are the only ones that's going to give me the pane on the side to be able to view that. Yes, but okay, so then the question is yes, but when you go to a different date, they don't appear. So if you're saying I'm here in my day and I go into my next day, they don't appear. There's nothing here because there's nothing that's in schedule. Remember the things to do roll over. So if you don't complete these particular things to do, and you don't mark them as done, that's when they will roll over to the next day. As far as reminders and calls to make are concerned, reminders don't roll over, calls to make do roll over. So tomorrow, if I didn't finish this by the end of the day, these things to do or calls to make, you will have them move over or roll over into your next calendar day. They don't appear right now, but if you don't complete them or you don't mark them as done, then you'll definitely see them on the next day as far as the things to do and the calls to make are concerned. The reminders do not roll over to the next day. Okay. Are there any other questions? Can you put, the question is, can you put a to-do item on a future date? Of course. At any given point, you can always go in. So let's say if I wanted to add a things to do to June 6th, I can simply just right click. If you're the right clicker, you can right click within the things to do box that is open here, or you can just add, click on the icon, this plus event, this plus sign icon. Either way, what it's going to create is an add event. If I can go then up here and let's say I wanted to not choose all these guys, but simply just manual allow. And I then want to say, we're going to have, I need you to have an appointment on that day, right? Or have an appointment, you say, make sure to plan and prepare. And then obviously you're going to link it to a specific matter. So if I were to then choose any one of my matters or cases, and now we're done, the to-do is already being in place. So it does work. You can always set up any things to do at a later date. Obviously, when you get to that stage, you'll be able to do so. You can also do it things to do, and you can set up reminders for that things to do. So what you can do is you can say, okay, in this section, after you double click within the things to do, I want to be reminded. It says June 6th, right? 2 days before. I don't know. I want to get a reminder, a quick reminder 2 days before. And then 1 day before, I want a second reminder of making sure that I get these things to do accomplished. I can hit save, done. And then, of course, if you backlog a little bit, there's that reminder there of make sure that you do it, plan and prepare. And 2 days before, there's that reminder shows up here as your things to do. So you're getting a reminder for that things to do that is coming up on the in the future date. Okay, so the next concept is back to the month view. When I uncheck the month box in settings, it doesn't show the reminders to dos on the right, but it lists them on the days. Any way to take that off? So you're saying that you're going into your settings, okay? And it says it doesn't show the reminders and to-dos on the right. Well, that's because you probably have on your monthly view here unchecked. Because if I were to check it, I can go hit done, and I go back to my monthly view, you will notice that I have it here shown up. Okay, let's see what else. Then there's another question by Andrew saying, why did your reminders go into the things to do section instead of the reminders section? Very good question, because it's a reminder for things to do. So it's going within the box because it's thinking that it's still, instead of a reminders at the top that you set it up as a reminder, you set it up as things to do, and the reminders are for that things to do. So it's going straight within there. At the end of the day, once you're reminded of it, you can always mark it done and go back into it and then release it. So if you go back in here and you just wanted to say, okay, I'm being reminded. And remember, ultimately, the things to do, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, are better because if you don't complete them by that day, it'll always showcase, it'll always reflect on the next day. Reminders, if you don't complete them and you forget to actually even see it, it won't be right there in front of you, in your face, so to speak, the next day because it doesn't roll over if you don't complete it. So that's why it's understanding that, okay, you have things to do, you want to be reminded, and in case you didn't do it that same day, it's going to roll over to the next day. Okay. Okay, so again, there's another question by Missy this time. If you look on your June 4th and 5th, it shows all your reminders. I want to take those off. Okay, June 4th and June 5th, you want to take all those reminders? Yes. If you want to take those off, there's the one simple way is, okay, if you want to take all the reminders, you can then come back in here and delete it this way. And then both will be gone, and there will no longer be there. So if I go back into my daily view, if I go to June 6th, right? Now, because I made my adjustment, I shouldn't have. So you can't do it that way as I thought you could. So the other way, obviously, is just simply right-clicking, saying that you marked it done and that you completed the reminder. This is the only way that is going to remove it. Or you could have gone into the actual calendar itself, double-click, right, and click status done. So unfortunately, you can't do both of them at time, even though after you've set it up to get rid of them. I just want it off the actual day on the calendar, but keep it on the right. Okay, yeah, I think you got that already. Beautiful. Any other questions? We got 2 minutes left, so if it doesn't come through within the next few seconds, I believe that would be all she wrote for today.
Yeah, it looks like that is all the time that we have. Thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. As a reminder, this will also be available on our website at abacusnext/webinars. Also, if you'd like some in-person training with our Abacus Next trainers, as a reminder, July 9th through 11th, we will be in Las Vegas hosting our Abacus Maximus Users Conference. I want to thank Ben Fu and everyone for attending today. Have a great day.
Thank you, Amanda.